So picture this, you're after a game that is going to smash you about, look bloody stunning while it's at it, and still leave you hooked. Now guys, I'm talking Dark Souls 3. I've just wrapped up my third go at it this year. I'm proper mad for the series. Dark Souls 1, to me, is my king. That woven world is a masterpiece that's never left me. So with this being my third dance with Dark Souls 3, I was buzzing to see if it still holds that spark. So let's dive in and let's have a little chat about Dark Souls. What hit me this time compared to all the rest was just actually how slick the game actually feels. There's some really good quality of life upgrades which are pure class compared to the older games. Rolling is crisp now. The Estus is quickly paced as well. There's no walking for 2 miles an hour. And it's not the clunky slog that sometimes Dark Souls 1 or 2 could turn into. It's still Dark Souls. It'll punish you if you blink, but the smoother edges make it less of a faff. And personally, I love that. FromSoftware just basically polished the best bits, letting you sink into the fight without wrestling with the controls as much. There's a smoothness now that kind of flows right into the world too, which lads is just gorgeous. We've got ash-choked swamps, crumbling castles, there's these eerie spires. It is a grim stunner. Now, even on my third run, I couldn't stop poking into every nook and cranny, getting that little bit of satisfaction when you uncover a hidden path or a cheeky item stashed away. That exploration kept me hooked, but the difficulty, which is a strange one, actually threw me a curveball this time round. Early on, I'd say this run almost felt too easy. Now, I'm fresh off Elden Ring's Chaos, and obviously with 2 Dark Souls 3 playthroughs under my belt, I was parrying Lothric Knights like it was no problem. Bosses were just dropping without breaking a sweat. It was a power trip though this time around, and I will say this, I was loving it until the end game where it was really obvious about the difficulty spike. At that end, you've got Nameless King, Soul of Cinder, who they are pretty brutal guys, and the spike from them to the earlier bosses is absolutely mental. I'd have preferred if that challenge was just far more spread out and consistent, a bit like Dark Souls 1's constant, edge of your seat dread that you get, but it isn't a deal breaker. It's just a quirk. It keeps the late game spicy, even if I would probably tweak it in a perfect world. Where I do get proper grumpy though, is the world design. I hate this zone-based setup. Dark Souls 1's Lordran had that seamless magic. Parish was flowing into sands, depths dropping into Blighttown, all one dark living dream. What you find with Dark Souls 3's, it's more pick a spot, teleport, repeat, with Firelink as a hub instead of the heart of the world. Now, don't get me wrong, the areas are still pretty. Cathedral into Farron flows decently, but every warp had me kind of pining for that old school design that we actually had back in Dark Souls 1. It's personally my biggest gripe, no lie, because that connectivity was half the soul of Dark Souls 1 for me. Still though, I will say this, the beauty and the secrets in this game kept me exploring, so it's not like it ruined the ride, it just left me wanting for more, for lack of a better word. But let's talk what pulls it right back up again. The bosses and the DLC in there are something else. Abyss Watchers, by the way, pure theatre. A fight that I would say still fires me up. And then you've got the Ring City and Ashes of Arendelle DLC, stepping in like absolute champs with those bosses. Freda's Scythe dance it's a work of art, and then we've Midir's, who's a nightmare beast that had me swearing and cheering, lads. It's gold. Base game fights feel a bit more tame now, especially after Elden Ring. I'm waltzing through it like it's honestly nothing, but the DLC does keep it fierce. Coming back post Elden Ring, it's actually mad how manageable Dark Souls 3 feels overall, yet those extra scraps in the DLC still hit hard, and it does remind you why this series rules. That flows into the combat, which is tight, snappy, it's got that Souls rhythm I live for. Swings that land, dodges that feel spot on. Usually I'm a bit of a dex lad, quick and stabby with katanas, or I use the curved swords, but this time I actually went strength, bringing a big old great sword around, and I'll tell you this, it was a laugh. Smashing through shields, being able to stagger everyone. I'll say this, it felt fresh and it was actually quite fun, even third time round. Weapon arts, I actually did really use the weapon arts before until now, but it gave it an extra kick too, though I've never bothered with New Game Plus to see how it scales up. Once I'm done, I'm basically done. I don't go back to the game. Still the variety's there if you want it, and it's slick as hell. Add in the lore, every item's a wee tale, dripping with dark charm, and the music I'll say this, Firelink's choirs, Cinder Strings basically give me chills, and it's a package that's tough to fault. So wrapping up, I would say Dark Souls 3 is still a belter. It's amazing. I've got gripes. I don't like the stoned off world, which stings, and the difficulty is a bit lopsided, but they're not deal breakers, just wee thorns on a crackling rose. The quality of life changes, the stunning visuals, the combat, and that unreal DLC, it is also good, lads, even third time around. It's not knocking Dark Souls 1 off its throne, not for me, but it is a worthy Prince in the Souls bloodline. It's gorgeous, it's slick, packed with brilliance. The sound design and late spike niggle me, but the rest, it's too good to dock hard. A Souls gem, lads, no question about it. What do you guys reckon? Are you still praising the sun in Dark Souls 3? Hit me up below and let me know in the comments.